So let's think about how to solve this problem, which may look very hard at first sight, but it's actually very easy if you think about it properly. So what do we know? We know that the observed demand curve before the change, when the tax is there, looks like this. X star with the tax there as a function of the price P, the market price is just 100 minus P. So it cuts here at 100 and it cuts there at 100. And what we want is X star with tau equals 0 for any market price P. And the reason the problem may look hard is because we don't know what the utility function is, etc. But with a little bit of thinking, and especially with a little bit of careful economic thinking, you can actually solve this very easily. So let X star of P without any index here be just the demand function of free trade at price P. It's a demand function that we have learned before how to derive. So notice the following. Suppose that we know that object. Then we know that the demand with the tax has to be equal to the demand at free trade at price P plus tau. That relationship has to hold. How do we know that? Well, this is what the consumer is willing to buy at any price P. But once the tax tau is introduced, from the point of view of the consumer, this is the net price that it faces. The consumer doesn't really care whether the money that it spends goes to the government or it goes to the seller. That's the net price. So at any market price P, this is the net price, and therefore this is how much the consumer is willing to buy. Now, it should also be easy to see that if the tax is removed, then X star, then the demand at any price P is just the demand at free trade at price P. So now we know how both objects relate to the free demand. But what do we know then? We know that it implies immediately that X star at t equals 0 is equal to X star when the case of the tax was there at P minus tau. In other words, sorry, this is at P, the consumer, by this logic, is willing to buy, when the tax is not there, the same amount that he was willing to buy at a price, at a market price that was tau units lower than the market price here. Why? Because if this relationship between the prices hold, then the net price here with the tax is just P, which is the same as is here. So that relationship needs to hold. And what does this imply? This simply implies that X star of tau equals 0, just substituting here at P, has to be equal to 100 minus P minus tau. Yep, we have the answer. And graphically, all that means is if this is the demand function with the tau as a function of the market price, the demand function, when you remove the tax, just shifts up. By how much? By tau.